with the project. And let's continue with deleting WordPress data records. Okay. I really recommend this course, using the WordPress Data Layer, because it's a really good journey about all the things that are most interesting about WordPress Data Layer. It really explains like the concept of selectors, resolvers, actions, and all the internal things, like for example, for an entity, when we update the information of an entity, how the store has this temporal value, and the selectors that we need to use in order to access that temporal value. So yeah, it's really good. I would really recommend it. So that's why I'm going through all the things, all the ideas that are covered in this course. I'm going through them in these streams because I think it's a really good way to understand the WordPress data layer, which is one of the most powerful features of the block editor. Okay, so let's continue. Let's delete something. Let's deleting WordPress data records. So in the previous part, we added the ability to create new pages, and in this part, we will add a delete feature to our app. Okay. So we have, let's check the application. Application is here. Yeah. So we have edit, but now we are going to also add a delete button. So let's add a delete button. Let's start by creating the delete page button component and updating the user interface of our pages list component. So we are going to create the delete button React component here, and then in the pages list, just beside the edit page button, we are going to also include this delete page button. So here, besides this edit button, we are going to place a delete React button. Okay, so let's copy this. This is a dummy delete page button because it does nothing. We have here in pages list, is this page here. So for now, I'm going to just add this component that right now is not doing anything. Okay, I hope the font size is good. I'm trying in this session to use a light theme, so let me know how this works, because I think it's better. You tell me. I change here to another theme. I usually work with a dark theme, like cursor dark. This is the one that I usually use, but I think that for the streams, this is the first time that I've tried this, but I think this is better. So yeah, you tell me what works better. Okay, we have some spam in the chat. Good. So we have the delete page button, and we can use this button here. And this delete page button is using the React component button that we need to, so button edit page is this one. So we need to import this button here. This is something temporal because I guess that we will extract this to a separate React component. Okay, so we have this button that we are creating, leveraging the button React component. Remember this component, all these components, the WordPress components, are documented in the Storybook, which is here. So if we look for button, components, actions, button, it's not documented here, a secondary. Yeah, button. So we have the different primary, secondary. Can't I see the code here? Okay, these are components related to actions like button, drop down menu. Okay, and in buttons we have this. Where can I see the code here? Where can I see the code? Okay, here in docs, we can see all the variants, which are primary, secondary, tertiary, and these variants are the different styles that we can see for the button. And yeah, any component we import from WordPress components, we can check all the information about that component here in the Storybook. So we have the delete page button, and if we go to our application, now if we refresh, we should see this delete button. There's some styling we can add here, but okay, for now I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, let's continue. We have here do I need, okay, this is okay. I will fix this styles later. But now let's focus on the action. So in Gutenberg data, we delete entity records from the WordPress REST API using the deleteEntityRecord action. It sends the request, processes the result, and updates the cached data in the Redux state. Remember that we have cached information in the store, and we also communicate with the REST API whenever we need to get information from the REST API or to persist data in the database through the REST API. Okay, so here's how you can try deleting entity records in your browser DevTools. So remember that the data package is published in the WP global object. So if we go to the dashboard here, we have the WP global object that contains a lot of packages. In WordPress, the packages are published and attached to this global object. They are made public through this global object, which is a property of the window object the browser. So here we have block editor, which is a store. We have blocks. Well, this is actually a package representing the store. The blocks is another package, and through blocks we have here like different methods. Well, these are actually packages. So we have the block editor package, the blocks, but some of these packages, they register a store that has specific selectors. How do we access these stores? Through the data package, because the data package has this select method that we can use to select a specific store, like for example core, and then through the specific store we have access to so through the selecting the store we have access to the selectors. Have access to the selectors of the store. And one of the things we can do is to get information, but I think that here we can get, for example, we are getting all the pages and this will return an array. We are accessing the first element of the array, and then we are accessing the property ID of this first element of the array. So we are getting a list of all the pages, and for the first page of that list, we are getting the ID. So we can do this. We can get this ID. And now page ID contains a 20. Let's go to pages and let's see. Yeah, it's this one, the one project. We have 20, 18, and 1. Great. So let me see what happened here. Yeah. Okay, let's repeat the operation. And we have here the page ID. And now we can use this page ID to delete this entity record. So we can use the delete entity record action of the core store. So where are these selectors and actions documented? So in the block editor, if we go to data module reference, here we have all the stores and all the packages that register a store. So in the core store, here we have the selectors and the actions, and I think this is one, delete entity record. Yes, this one. And delete entity record is an action trigger to delete an entity record. And here are the parameters we need to pass to this action in order to do the specific action. These parameters correspond to the options that are sent to the REST API request. So if we check the specific endpoint that is being used for the request, we can check the specific information that endpoint needs, and that's usually what we also pass as an argument with these actions. Okay, so for this action, what we are passing is the kind the specific entity type and the page ID. And we can see here, if we go to core, we can see here, we will see here a specific action being dispatched when I click enter. Okay, so if we go to Redux, yeah, we can see here so when I clicked enter, there some processes have started. So these are actions that are being dispatched. So it starts here with this action, deleteEntityRecord start, and this action has modified the state. But there's also been a specific what is it? I guess it's this one. Yeah, this one, 20. Let me see, request headers. Okay, let's do this operation again. What I'm going to do is so page ID, it gets this, and now I'm going to remove this page ID. So if we go to the network, I'm going to remove everything so we can see this more clearly. And if I click enter in network, we should see there is a no. This is what I want to do. So the page ID is 18 and we want to dispatch an action to delete the entity record. So if I do this, let me check, network is empty. If I do this in network, I can see, yeah, this is the operation to remove to delete this request. So let me see, request headers. Okay, HTTP method override delete. So we are actually doing a post. There's a delete method, so that could be used here. I'm not sure why it's using post, but yet then here is saying to delete this specific ID. So we are, and this is what the REST API has responded. This is the reply, and then it checks all the pages, and we can see there's only one after having removed this one. And as you can see here, the React application has reacted because what has happened here is, so let me see if I can, this is our React application. Okay, this is our React application. Through our React application, we have dispatched an action. We have dispatched an action. Okay, so we have dispatched an action to remove, and the action is delete entity record. This is the action, delete entity record. And the WordPress Data Layer has done to the REST API. Has done a request to the REST API, which is actually a post request, but internally is a delete. It's a delete to remove a specific ID, which is the element with the ID ID 18. So the REST API has removed that information from the database. This has been done. This has been removed. And then it has returned the list of the this is a get, and we have the list of remaining pages. So with this list, this information has been updated here. And because this has been updated, the React application has reacted to this change. And this has provoked that the React application has re-rendered. And that's why here we have seen the updated list automatically, right after we have done the change, right after we have removed that. Okay, we have done this from the console, but we want to do this when we click this delete button. So let me add again some new pages. Okay, let me add some new pages here. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. We can stop and go more into details on anything that is not clear. In the meantime, I'm going to follow projects, publish. All right, if we go to pages, we have projects. I'm going to add another one that I'm going to call contact. So contact, and then in the meantime we can, okay, so we have done this operation from the console, but now we want to do this from the button. So we can use the useDispatch hook to connect to a specific store, and this returns an object with all the actions that can be dispatched for this store. And from all those actions, we destructure the deleteEntityRecord, which is the one we are interested in. Again, if we go to core data store that is documented here, we can, or we should have documentation about this action. So let's delete entity record. Yeah, this is the one. And then what we are going to do is to create a method called handleDelete, which will be triggered when we click the button. And when we click the button, this method will be triggered. And when this method is triggered, we will call this action that will be dispatched and will delete this, this page ID. So let's copy this. Let's go to our project, and now the delete page button is doing more things. Core data store. We need to import useDispatch and import core data store from core data. This is something that then will move to a separate file, but for now we can add them here. So yeah, we have this delete page button, which when we click, it will execute this method. And this method is going to dispatch the action that actually removes the page. But then it takes a few moments for the REST API request to finish after clicking the delete button. So we can communicate that with a spinner component, similarly to what we did in other parts of the tutorial. So again, there are selectors to get information from the store, but then there are also selectors to get information about the processes themselves. So when we request information, we can check if the request has been resolved or not. When we dispatch an action, we can check if there has been an error or not, or if the request is in progress or not. But we have selectors for that too. And here we have a specific selector called useDeleteEntityRecord, which we can pass the specific operation we are performing to delete. So the same arguments we are passing, like post type, page, and page ID, and we'll get a Boolean with the information of whether this entity record is being deleted or not. or information of if there is a process in progress for deleting this entity, the specific entity. So we can add this to our delete page button. We can add this here. And then inside the button, we can add a spinner deleting if this state variable is true, and if it's not true, we will just show delete. So let's explain this a bit more. We have the useSelect hook that allow us to call selectors and return information from those selections. So here we are returning is deleting. The object we are returning is being the structure here. The is deleting property is it contains, or it will contain, the result of getting this selector, this information, which will be true or false. And this is a state variable, which means that whenever this changes, the whole React component is re-rendered and this information is updated. And also remember that React components on a React application, one of the cool things that it does is that it only updates the specific portion of the DOM. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of using a React application. So it's faster. The update of the DOM is faster because there's only an update, a partial update of the DOM. So we have this here, and now we should see something like this. Okay, so let's try this again. If we go to the, we can say, set this to contact, publish, and we can go to pages. Okay, about contact projects. If we go to our useSelect is not defined, okay, because we need to also import here useSelect. And then it says cannot read properties of undefined name. Cannot. Okay, let's check what we're doing here. So we have added this, deleting. Page ID is being passed here. The spinner is being I'm going to put this here for now. Delete. Okay, so there must be something wrong with the useSelect. Okay, so let's see what's going on. Is deleting. We're using useSelect, which we are importing here. Select is deleting. And then we select a post type, page ID, and page ID is received by delete page button. And received here. Let's check if the page ID is being properly passed to the React component. We also have the npm start that is working well. So page ID is being received properly. Okay. So indeed the error is in the useSelect. Okay, let me. What's going on is useSelect receives function with the select, and here we are returning this, and no, this is okay. I want to pass the page ID and core data store is okay because this is the namespace. But anyway, we can show it here that we have store. Okay. Okay, that's the thing. Undefined. Okay, this is what's happening. Core data store is undefined because core data store import from WordPress core data. Why is undefined? Because we have a similar button here, which is edit page and page form edit. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. This is the thing. Where are we? Pages list. Yep. So what the package exports is a property called store that we can rename as core data store in order to be more clear in our code, but actually is a store. And that's why this was undefined and it was all failing because of this. Okay, so now this should work. This should work as well. And then we should also be able to use this in the delete. So let's remove this and let's replace this with this. We can, yeah. Okay, so let's review what we have so far in this component. We have received an object with all the actions we can use in this specific store. we are interested in delete entity record. And then we have also defined a selector to get information about the process of deleting an entity through the selector useDeleteEntityRecord. And then we have defined a method called handleDelete to dispatch this specific action. So whenever we click on the button, we will dispatch this action. And also we are using this deleting to show a spinner or not, depending of if this value is true or false. Okay, so now let's refresh this. Now the behavior we should see is when I click and delete. When I click delete, we should see a spinner while the process of deletion is in progress. And then, as we explained here, the React application, the React component is going to be rendered with the updated information, which is the list of the remaining pages. Great. And now we need to handle errors. We optimistically assume that the delete operation would always succeed. Unfortunately, under the hood is REST API request that can fail in many ways. The website can be down, the delete request may be invalid, or the page could have been deleted by someone else in the meantime. Okay. So this is similar to what we did when we updated getLastEntityDeleteError. getLastEntity, let me see, because I think there was getLastEntityUpdateRecord. So if we come here, let me see, finding folder. Yes, save. So we have a similar selector called getLastEntitySaveError. And then we can use getLastEntityDeleteError. So for saving an entity or for deleting an entity, we have these selectors to get information about the process. So let's leverage them to display an error in case something wrong happens. In the delete so here you select. Okay. So we can use useSelect to get this selector. And then we can use that selector here to so this is an async await function. Okay, so this method is now more interesting. We have now an async await function, and here we have an action that returns a promise, and the result of that promise is stored in this success constant. So if there is, I think this is going to be Boolean, true or false, or it will be either contain an object or undefined. Anyway, if it's true, what the delete entity record, if it can be converted to true, we can tell the user that everything worked fine. But if not, we can get the specific error and display the specific error. Okay, so we are getting, instead of okay, maybe we can approach this in a different way, but for now we are going to follow this instruction. So the last error object comes from the WordPress API fetch and contains information about the error. It has the following properties. Okay, so the last error. Okay, this is the one we get when we call this selector. We get a message, a code, and some additional data. Okay, we can use that to display an error through the Snackbar component. Okay, so let's use this component. Let's use the same type of notification that are used in the block editor. So in order to display this notification, we need to interact with another store. So we have a specific store that manages the notices, like these Snackbar boxes. So in the same way that we are interacting with the core store, like this one, we can interact with the notices store. Which means we can also use selectors and we can dispatch actions. So for example, we will dispatch actions to add a new Snackbar, and we will use selectors for something. I don't know yet. Okay, so let's create okay. Okay, this is interesting because we are displaying the notifications in the main app. Okay, so let's do this and then we can explain how it works. So we have this in the app application here. So in the app, we are going to import Snackbar list and then the notices store. We will have a specific component called notification. We can also make this const notifications equal this. So this React component, what it's going to do is going to get the notices boxes or the snack bars to check the list of notifications that are available to be displayed, and we also are going to get the remove notice, and we are going to get only the notices that are of type Snackbar. So as we saw, there are different stores, and if we come here, we can see in Redux. Okay, let's update this. Okay. Let me see if we can access the Redux here. Yeah, we have here the core notices. So we can dispatch actions to add new notices, and then we can access that information. So the cool thing is that we can add notices from a React component, and we can display those notices from another React component because everything is connected. That's the cool thing of interacting with the stores. We have the state centralized, and then from any React application, we can either dispatch actions to modify the state, or from any other React component, we can react to the new state. So here what we are doing is we are just checking, we are actually subscribing here to the notices, to this get notices selector. Anytime there's a new notice, this React component will be re-rendered. And this specific React component, what it's doing is leveraging the Snackbar list, which will contain the Snackbar notices with a specific class name, and this Snackbar list will include like a cross, which we can use to trigger some specific action, which is this one, remove notice. So remove notice, what we do is it will remove that specific notice from the store, and that will provoke that that specific notice will be removed from the list. So we can have like a lot of notifications, and we can decide which ones we want to remove. And then what we're going to do is these notifications can be here, pages list, or where is this? Yeah, notifications at the end. Yeah. And now from our component, from the delete page button, we can also use the notice store. So let's go to pages list. We are going to also use the notice store and use effect. And with this line, what we are doing is accessing the actions available from this store. So let's go to the documentation, and here we have all the different stores or all the packages that register a store, and we have here the notices data, and here we have the actions and the selectors we can use to interact with this store. So we have get notices that returns all notices, but then we have the create notice that we can use to create notices. Create success notice or create error notice. Great. So useSelect returns a list of selectors if you pass the store handle instead of a callback. So yeah, this is about this. We can pass a callback, and that will make that that callback is subscribed to the information returned inside the callback. But then we can also return directly the list of selectors available for that store, which is what we're doing here. So then inside of the handle delete, we have this promise. If there's a success, what we're going to do is we're going to create a success notice. So here, if there is a success, we are going to tell the user that the delete succeed. But if there's an error, we are going to display a error notice. And perfect. So handle delete. When we click delete, we will trigger the action. We will dispatch the action to delete the entity record. It's a promise, so the result, when the promise is fulfilled, we will get a specific object or a boolean. Anyway, something that can be evaluated into true or false. If it's evaluated to true, that means that the operation has been successful. And so we can use the create success notice, which is an action that is dispatched to another store. Here we are interacting with the core data store and with the notices store. Here we are getting the specific actions to interact with this specific store. Okay, cool. Cool. So delete page button is now fully aware of errors. Let's see that error message in action. We'll trigger an invalid delete and let it fail. One way to do this is to multiply the page ID by a large number. Okay. So in delete page button, we can delete page button. Page ID. Let me see the delete page button. Okay, so what we can do here is const page ID, and this is the ID we are going to use to delete. This is temporal because we want to, and the use effect, what did we import the use effect? Use effect here. We are not using this use effect anyway. So we can remove this. Okay, let's see if this works. We can go here to our application. useDispatch is not defined because, what do you mean by useDispatch is not defined? Okay, I think it refers to this useDispatch. Yeah, need to useDispatch. Okay, we will organize later better these components. For now, we just want to check if they work, and then we will make this code look nicer. So delete. We can see the Snackbar here, and when we, and also what we can check is Redux, notices, create notice. When we click remove notice, so we can see the actions and we can see how the create notice is an action that is creating a specific status error, type Snackbar. This is what's adding, and then remove notice is removing this. So this is how it works. And now what we can do is this pages list is okay. Let's remove this and let's make all this Now this should work. This should work. Okay, let's refresh. Oh, it's refreshing already. And now we should see a success message. So when we click, yeah, the page was deleted, and okay, perfect. So now let's organize the code a little bit. I think that we have finished. Perfect. So let's organize the code, but before it, let's check what we can do to improve this project. So okay, I hope this course gave you a strong understanding of the WordPress data layer fundamentals. We've discussed how to fetch WordPress data, make edits, delete specific records, and create new ones. Now that you have your React app up and running, I encourage you to go beyond the course material and expand it. Okay. Some ideas to expand this project. Add a content field to the page editing form. Okay. So what we can do is add a content field to the page editing form. So instead of just editing the page title, we could also edit the page content. That would be nice. Build a media files management screen. So we can do something similar, but for media. So we can access all the media. We can list the media. We could also remove the media, and we could add new media from our application. What else? Show an error if the user has no permissions to manage pages, and paginate the results. Okay. One of the next courses might cover these topics in depth. Until then, here are a few more helpful resources. Okay. Core data reference. So this is what we've been checking during these stream sessions. The core data is the store that contains the information about the entities. So anytime we want to deal with information related to pages, posts, or categories, tags, we can use this specific store. What else? List of core entities. And here we have the entities we can interact with through this specific store. So we have media, then post type, taxonomies, which can be categories or tags, sidebar, widget, comments, menu. So yeah, lots of things. What else? What else? And then example of permissions management in the site title block. Okay, let's check this code. Okay, so we have our useSelect hook. We have the store, the namespace of the store, and useEntityProp, which is a specific hook to manage entity props. Another thing that we can do, maybe in another session, is to leverage If we go to developer.wordpress.org news, there was a useSelect, use entity records. So all the things that we have done here with useSelect, it can be simplified with useEntityRecord. So yeah, maybe we can do this in another session. But for now, there are two things pending. The first one is to organize the code. I want to do that first, so then we can commit. And what I like to do is to have the different React components in different files. So we have button create page, button edit page, and then I'm going to create a button delete page, and button delete page is going to be this one. Button delete page is going to be this one, which we can export here. And that we can import here. So import delete page button from button delete page. So we have button edit page, and then we have button delete page, which we are going to button delete page. And then in pages list, button delete page. Okay. Let's see if this still works. Go to our application. Let's create new pages. Yeah, I think I should do this with the CLI. For the next session, I'm going to, okay, so projects, publish, and then contacts, something like that. Then contact. Yeah, definitely the CLI. And then contact. Okay, and now we should be able to remove the pages here. Okay, we have these pages created. Now we have here this. If we delete, there is an error that says that spinner is not defined yet. So we have forgotten something here in below this page. Spinner, yeah. So import spinner. But it has been removed. And now if we click here, the page was deleted. Perfect. It works. And we are going to do the same. We're going to do the same with the notifications. So I'm going to create notifications We add component. Export const notifications. And then we are going to import useSelect, useDispatch, the notices store, and the Snackbar list. We can remove this from here. And then import these notifications, which is going to be used here. Perfect. The build process is working well. And I'm going to create one more page to test this. And okay, I see there are a few people watching the stream via Twitch. Are there any questions about any of this? Would you like me to go back and check something? If not, what I'm going to do is review this code. Okay. Good. So if we go to our application, if we delete, what's happening here? Because I need to put this in a different TD. Let me see if this in the pages list. Yeah. Not so good. So what we can do is add some styles component button TD button. So in the, I don't know, let me see the styles here in style CSS. So the buttons, form buttons. This class is not being applied. Margin right. Form buttons. Okay, this is inside the and this table. And this table, we don't have anything here. Okay, so let's add these controls. Okay, we have these deep list controls, but we don't have anything for the table. Or do we? No. Well, what we can do is to yeah, something like this. Yeah, something like this, like a small margin to the right. Yeah, that's I think that was great. And now we can check this. So the page was deleted, and then we can remove this. Perfect. So this works. And what we can do now is to check this. So we have finished the project. Congratulations. It only took us 4 sessions and 8 hours, more or less. But we have taken our time to review things. So that's good. We wanted to check this to see how the permissions are checked with the stores. So okay, so here we have different components, and they use block props from the block editor. Some other components, they create block from here, and the code entities. Okay, so this is block library. So this is the edit component of the site title that receives attributes, set attributes, and insert blocks after. So we get from attributes, we get these specific constants, and then use entity prop. We can get title and set title. So use entity prop is a very handy hook. I think that we can dedicate the next session to talk about this and to refactor our application. And then we can check the permissions here. So in order to check the permissions, we can use select, and we can use the selectors can user and get entity record. Okay, so site data is an object containing the information about the site, which we can access through the getEntityRecord selector. In this case, the kind is root, and this unstable base is, I don't know what is this, but I guess this is the internal way to, because when we want to get information from a specific entity, we pass the kind, like post type, and the specific type, which can be post or page. In this case, I guess this is a generic value to get all the information from the site in an object. And then we check if the user can update the settings and read-only title, the code entities, read-only title, and then we get the specific title from this information. So the user that is logged, we can get information from that specific user, and we can check if it can update the specific settings. And this can user edit is used here. So the class name, we are assigning this specific class name based on this value, and then we are assigning this specific class name only if the user cannot edit and if we cannot access this information. Where else this is used? So site title content. Okay. I see. So if the user, I understand. So if the user can't edit the title of the site, so if it has permissions, if it's admin, then the site title block will allow us to edit the site name directly from the component, right? That's why we can use a rich text. And then the onChange, yeah, the onChange can be used to set the title. It's a tag name, and the tag name, what is this tag name? The tag name is the specific tag that we can use if there is a level attribute, we will use that specific heading, but if not, we will use a paragraph. So this is a specific tag with the block props, and then we will use the rich text, which will allow us to set the title. But if not, we will just use the read-only title, here, which would be a link is link. And the isLink is an information that we have in the attribute. If it's link, we will provide a link to nowhere on click event prevent default. And we will use the read-only title. Okay. And yeah, I think that's the most important part of this, to check what the user can do or not. And I think it's time to finish the session. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. I think that we can do another session to explore the hook use entity prop and use entity records, and maybe we can refactor this application doing that. And maybe we can also try some of these things. For example, add a content field to the page editing form. This may be tricky because the content, if we want to use blocks, then maybe we need to insert some like a block editor inside this, so that may complicate things. Paginating the results can be a good thing. Yeah, we can explore anything, but at least refactoring the code using the use entity records can be a good thing. Okay. So I'm going to leave things here, and yeah, see you in another stream. Bye.